What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, in today's video, we are going over the SANDBOX, S-A-N-D, as we have been seeing some pretty interesting moves, right? So we've seen a bit of consolidation over the last couple of days, coming up on about a week here, and some people are getting a little bit jittery. They're a little bit nervous. What should we do? Do we buy? Do we sell? Do we hold? So in today's video, I'm going to tell you all what exactly I'm going to be doing, how I'm going about this, and what I am expecting from SAND. So with that being said, of course, let's go ahead and let's get into it. So what we're seeing right now from the SANDBOX is, again, we have created some type of consolidational pattern in the form of, hopefully, of course, a bullish pennant, but more than anything, a symmetrical triangle coming off an uptrend. So immediately, you do have to think that these symmetrical triangles coming off an uptrend do have a tendency to be continuation patterns. What that means is they have a tendency to break to the top side. Now, that's not guaranteed. It's not promised. Of course, not much in life is promised. And so that is just something to keep on the back of your mind, but it is a good sign. It is something important as we do put that and pair it with some of our indicators to say that we definitely could see the continuation to the top side. Now, personally speaking, just looking at this thing from a fundamental perspective, I do believe that SANDBOX still has more room to grow. Now, I know things have been really extended in the gaming and the metaverse, world itself, but I think it's just growing, and I think it's becoming more and more important. At a $53 billion market cap, it could very well continue to get bigger up to $100 billion. It could still double from here, right? And so what we're seeing is the SANDBOX being at about a 5.8 billion, with say something like Decentraland Mana and Axie Infinity, and those being up towards 8.2, 8.5 billion. I definitely do believe that SANDBOX has room to grow. I just genuinely do. I think that it makes sense if Mana is going to be an 8.2 for this one's to be a 7, something of that nature. And so with that being said, with all of what we're seeing from SANDBOX as of recently, with some of these massive NFTs being sold and thousands of people buying virtual plots of land, it seems like it's only growing. And when it grows, it's only going to grow in value. And as the value goes up, the market cap goes up, which is of course inherently due to the price going up. So with that being said, I think the fundamentals do back that, even though we have been seeing some absolutely insane growth over the last couple weeks. So what we need to be on the lookout for at this given point is, how do we interact with the symmetrical triangle? Of course, it's real simple for this one. So what we're looking at is this downward sloping level of resistance. That's going to be one of the most important levels that we're watching out for right now. If we're able to go and see a breakout through the top side of this level, it would be absolutely massive, because a few things would happen on our indicators. Thing number one that would happen is that we would avoid some type of bearish crossing here. Okay, so on the daily MACD, you can see that our price is starting to work itself into each other. We can see that our blue EMA and our orange EMA are getting real close. And what happens usually is that when we see a very, very strong crossing through the downside, when the blue EMA comes straight down through the orange EMA, that's usually pretty bearish. And when we see that, that has a tendency to lead to the price falling, of course. So what we can see is that as we are approaching this bottom side level of support, we are seeing that cross approaching, very similar to what we saw back here. Okay, so we created this triangle right here, a lot less symmetrical, but you get the picture. And you can see as we started to approach the level of support, we really came close. They started to intertwine, and boom, we saw the breakout. Okay, and so even if we do see them approaching each other and touching, as long as we do see this move to the upside, we will see that breakout, and we will see that continuation for the bullish momentum on our MACD, which would be absolutely phenomenal. Okay, that goes ahead and just shows, okay, likelihood is the bulls are still in control, and we will see this continue on. Now, one thing we can see is that if that is the case, we have a technical price target if we just take the length of the symmetrical triangle and apply this to what would then be a bullish pennant on the breakout. Say if we broke out on December 4th, a few days from now, we could still be looking at a price target towards $12.50, which could still be a pretty nice gain. And a real solid gain up in this point. It's still 90%. Now, do I know if that's going to happen? Of course, you can never know if that's going to happen. But considering the fact that, over the course of a few days in history, we have seen 120+% gains, I definitely don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility, especially considering the fact that I still think it has loads of room to work in terms of market cap. So with that being said, the way in which I would be playing this right now is looking for the breakout to the top side before I buy anything. Okay, I would not be buying any sand right now until we were to see the breakout to the top side. Now, the reason that I say that is because we have recently come back off the top of our daily Bollinger Band envelope. Now, what happens generally, is that at some given point, after extending outside of the envelope, we will resort back to our moving average. Now we have to remember these envelopes are formed through 2 standard deviations. So what that means is they will take this moving average, in this instance the 20 simple moving average, and they are going to take 2 standard deviations away from it in price, and that's going to be the top, and then they're going to take it to the bottom side, 2 to the bottom, and that's going to create the bottom, and that creates the blue lines. And so as this moving average moves and as we start to see the price going up and down, we will see these 2 standard deviations. It can also be used as a measurement of volatility. Now none of the technicals of this really matters, but what matters is that generally speaking, when we reach the top and we extend into the top of it, we will eventually resort back down to this moving average. And so since we are slowly but surely creeping to the downside, I would much rather see a breakout to the upside and a bullish switch in our indicators before buying in, because if we do see the break to the downside, we're very likely going to look at some type of fall of even up to 18 to 17, 16% as we do retrace back to that 20 simple moving average, somewhat similar to what we saw back here. Okay. And so overall, looking at this thing from say the hourly time frames, I would say it's more likely that we break to the top side, especially looking at something like our RSI. Now, the reason I say that is because we saw a really good reset. Okay, so looking at the price, we can see that we set some of these highs and we set some of these lows. And at the moment, what we can see happening is that over these, when we set these highs and we come down to the bottom side of our symmetrical triangle, we need to let the price and the RSI work in tandem with each other and just cool down. And one thing you can see as well is the fact that as we have been seeing the price cool down, so has the RSI. And this gives us a lot of room to the upside so that when we make this big bounce, we could very possibly see the bounce that's large enough to get us out of this symmetrical triangle. So the fact that we are slowly approaching this, this 35 to 30 level on the RSI tells me that we definitely could be looking at some type of big move coming relatively soon. And now the very last thing that I kind of wanted to take a quick look at is if we go out to the daily charts, one thing you can see is that we have been seeing some bullish divergence. Now, generally speaking, bullish divergence is going to be stronger on your RSI when it's more towards that quote unquote oversold territory, when we're a little bit lower. But whenever we are seeing, the price working its way out of this quote unquote overbought territory, we can see that it does have an effect sometimes. And what we can see happening at the moment is that coming off of the bottom that we put in right here, we came up and we have yet to set in a decisive low. So we have not clearly made a reverse in any way. But at the moment, although we have not yet made the lower low here, we have made the lower low on the RSI. And that tells us that there is still some bullish momentum in this thing that could very likely push us up as long as we do not break out the bottom side of this symmetrical triangle. Now, if we are to, again, see the breakout to the bottom side of the symmetrical triangle, we have these 2 little levels approaching. We have the 20 EMA and the 20 SMA. And I'm under the belief that if we do bounce out to the bottom side of this, that will go down to interact with both of them. And if we do see a good level of support established there, we could very likely still continue our ascent. So just because we break out doesn't mean that it won't continue back upwards ever, but it does become a little bit harder once we have these, these few different levels of resistance now above us. So again, what you should be looking for, in my personal, of course, non-financial advisor opinion, is look to see, do we get the break that we're looking for? Do we get the break out of the top of this symmetrical triangle? And if we do, I think that could serve as a fantastic buying opportunity, especially in the long run, because it shows a little bit of bullish momentum definitely may still be on the way. So overall, that's going to be about it for today's video. Again, I hope you guys like these short, sweet, simple, straight to the point videos. I don't BS you. I'm not going to sit here and and just talk about things that are unnecessary. I'm gonna just give you what you're looking for, and all I ask for in return is you just like the like button so more people can see this video. But with that being said, I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. I will see you all in today's next video. Peace.